Now I want to speak directly to one specific American, Donald. In the over 8 years you and I have worked together, we've done big things. We signed a historic deal that has created record jobs and growth in both of our countries. We've done big things together on the world stage, as Canada and the US have done together for decades, for generations. And now we should be working together to ensure even greater prosperity for North Americans in a very uncertain and challenging world. Now, it's not in my habit to agree with the Wall Street Journal, but Donald, they point out that even though you're a very smart guy, this is a very dumb thing to do. We two friends fighting is exactly what our opponents around the world want to see.
Good grief. What was he thinking?
Like, just when you think it can't get any worse, Justin shows
Call
up
somebody
and
dumb.
runs his mouth like a moron in front of the Canadian press. You think that Donald isn't going to, like, and P.S., that's meant as an insult. His title is President Trump. That's what Justin should be calling him in public. But instead, dumbs it down to Donald. I want to talk to one man, Donald. I mean, you don't think that President Trump is going to see this and absolutely go ballistic? He is. Yeah, he is. This is not going to be received well. No.
He's going to get fired as governor. he's gonna get fired as governor. They're gonna primary him. Again, like, who thought that was a good idea? I'm almost speechless. First of all, the irony of somebody as idiotic as Trudeau calling anybody dumb, but let alone Donald Trump. Let alone Donald Trump. I mean, the man was a billionaire before he came into office. He successfully navigated the culture to get elected once. Then he successfully navigated the culture to get elected a second time. He's got keen political instincts. Trudeau calling somebody dumb? Mr. I don't think about the economy. The budget will balance itself. He's going to grow the economy from the heart outward, is what he also said. We need to rethink concepts as complicated as space and time, he said one time. And I thought this has caused me to rethink how I spend my time listening to Justin Trudeau, because I was getting stupider from it. The man is an absolute idiot. The stupidest man to ever lead the country, for sure.
No, with a country mile, Sheila, a country mile. This is a man who was elected on his good looks and nice hair in 2015 by a bunch of women who were suckered into a toxic relationship with an abusive, gaslighting piece of garbage. And for him to say that Donald Trump is dumb, oh well, I mean, that's just par for the course. That is par for the course for him being, and let's not forget, he's coming off of the last one calendar week in glad handing his way around Europe with Keir Starmer, with Emmanuel Macron, with Vladimir Zelensky. And so he's coming off like, large and in charge. This, you know what this likely is? This is likely a repeat of what he just heard in the last week. So if Trump is wondering how these other world leaders refer to him, you just got a perfect front row seat. The way that Justin Trudeau just described him is how everybody else is talking about him. So it's just wildly inappropriate. And again, dropping all of the balls, and is going to make Canada pay for it. But how totally disrespectful. Like, what an arse. What an arse.
You know what? And this is more just Justin Trudeau projection, right? He's a feminist, but he's the guy groping women. He is an anti-racist, but he's the guy who did blackface so many times that he can't recall how many times. Trump's dumb, but it's Justin Trudeau is a serious quantum mechanics thinker and definitely not a himbo snowboard instructor debutante who found his way to the highest office in the land thanks to his last name. Definitely. That's somebody else that's stupid.
No, he's not at all a Nepo baby, Sheila, the most coddled. No, he's not a Nepo baby. No, we're not suggesting. Of course we are. Of course we are. This is a man who observed for his entire life, how these things work, how the Laurentian elites operate, and how best to swindle the people of Canada, especially Western Canada. And man, has he done a good job. Has he done a good job at failing us as a country?
Let's go into, well, this is a Trudeau lie. Trudeau says Trump is talking positively about working with Putin while taking aim at Canada, America's closest ally, partner, and friend. Let's watch this, and then I'll tell you why he's completely lying.
So today, the United States launched a trade war against Canada. Their closest partner and ally, the closest friend. At the same time, they're talking about working positively with Russia, appeasing Vladimir Putin, a lying, murderous dictator. Make that make sense. Canadians are reasonable, and we are polite, but we will not back down from a fight. Not when our country and the well-being of everyone in it is at stake. At the moment, the U.S. tariffs came into effect in the early hours of this morning, and so did the Canadian response. Canada will be implementing 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods, starting with tariffs on $30 billion worth of goods immediately, and tariffs on the remaining $125 billion of American products in 21 days' time. Our tariffs will remain in place until the U.S. tariffs are withdrawn, and not a moment sooner. And should these tariffs not cease, we are in active and ongoing discussions with provinces and territories to pursue several non-tariff measures, measures which will demonstrate that there are no winners in a trade war.
We only have 7 days to have to listen to his smarmy, gross, slimy voice talking to us like we are children and saying all the wrong, dumb things to antagonize the United States. Sorry, Sheila, go on.
No, that's pretty much it. But like this idea that Trump is aligned with Putin is insane. What Trump said was, Trump said, I'm sort of aligned with the world in the interests of peace. So this is directly from that meeting with Zelensky. And I remember him saying that, but this is the quote: I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America and for the good of the world. I'm alive with the world and I want to get this thing over with, meaning the war.
He's not aligned with Putin. And those talking points are so old and so washed up and so debunked. Like we know that was their go-to line in 2020, that, right, you're colluding with the Russians. Oh, this is Russian disinformation. I mean, those amongst, I don't know anybody that hasn't been accused of being a Russian agent in his last couple of years. I mean, it is such a lazy attack. It's a predictable attack. It's an absolutely a predictable attack. He's falling back on the tactics that did work in 2020, but we are all now smart enough to be able to call out and say, this is absolute baloney. But you're right, Sheila. He did say, I'm on the side of America and I'm on the side of the world and peace. And that is what we should all be striving towards. If your elected officials aren't on the side of peace, well, then you have to wonder how they're benefiting from being in the business of war.
Well, I know how they're benefiting BlackRock sells the weapons and then they repair the country after the war. They do both. They've sort of closed the supply chain on themselves there. It's kind of a neat little gimmick that they do. And it's real interesting for Justin Trudeau to talk about, somebody being a Russian friendly when we know that the Chinese keep trying to get the Liberals elected.
Canadians know the national anthem. They stand in silence to remember those who died for this country. But not every Canadian knows their rights and freedoms. The Freedom Passport will change that. It looks and feels like a Canadian passport, but contains the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms in a portable, easy-to-read format. The Freedom Passport. Order one for yourself and for all the freedom lovers that you love at freedompassport.ca.